Hello YTPC, Parsimonious Piper coming at you from the back porch. Heat index here in North Carolina isn't too bad right now. It's right around 100, but the humidity's down, so it's at least bearable. Well, first things first. Today I'm smoking one of my favorite lat bombs, Star of the East Flake, Cornell and Deal, in a 5-star Pipe by Lee pot. Nice little pretty grain, short stemmed beauty. So today, I've got a VR for Uncle Phil's Cellar. Congratulations on hitting 1,000 subs. That's quite the milestone. As everybody keeps telling you, you deserve it. Your videos are funny, they're entertaining, they're informative. They keep us coming back. So you asked us to tell something about ourselves that the YTPC probably doesn't know. Well, I'm fairly new to this, so that leaves the field wide open for me. But the one I'm going to share today is that I used to be an avid motorcyclist. Now, I say used to be. I didn't quit riding motorcycles out of any deliberate choice. Just sort of happened. See if I can get this to stay lit. Over the course of almost 30 years, I put just under a 500,000 miles on a bunch of bikes. I was, as you may surmise, I was riding anywhere 30, 40 plus thousand a year some years. My last two bikes, and I'll get some pictures overlaid on top of the video here. My last couple of bikes were a 1997 Honda Valkyrie, absolute beast, 1500cc, 6-cylinder, smooth as anything. The advertising gimmick at the time when I got it, I was a second owner, was that it was the first production bike to hit both 100 foot-pounds of torque and 100 horsepower. Don't know if that's true, but it was a beast. That bike I put well over 150,000 on just by itself. I sold that one just last year, and I still have one bike sitting in the garage, but I've only ridden it couple of times over the last couple of years, and that would be a 2004 Buell XB12S. And I don't know if you're familiar with Buell, but the idea was to shoehorn a big engine in a tiny frame. And the XB12 had a 1200cc V-twin, Harley-based re-engineered V-twin, shoehorned into a frame that was shorter than most 600cc bikes. It was very light, only weighed 435 pounds, I think was advertised wet. And it was a little torque monster, little wheelie machine. I had to completely relearn how to ride that bike because I had come from Japanese inline fours, and with the difference in power delivery on that little V-twin, I initially found myself starting to lift the front tire while I was leaned over into curves. You had to learn a completely different way of accelerating through a curve with the torque of that twin. That's a fantastic little bike, and I'm having trouble convincing myself to sell it even though I'm not riding it anymore. Now, each of those last two bikes produced for me my two most memorable rides. On the Valkyrie, It was a 2-up trip with my wife. We lived in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. And one summer, we headed over to California, and we did every mile of California Highway 1 from where it begins all the way down in San Juan Capistrano in the south. And we rode north up the coast to where it ends just north of Leggett. We took a little over a week to do it, so we didn't have to do long days. Getting there and back across the Mojave Desert, brutal. But once we were on the coast, just absolutely gorgeous. There's nothing quite like the California coast, especially Highway 1. If you ever have a chance to go up and down that coast, it's stunningly beautiful. Alternating from rocky cliffs over the seaside to dairy pastures and vineyards. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and so we really enjoyed that trip. That's one of the iconic motorcycle trips, I think, if you have an opportunity. And now the other one on the Buell, the destination itself wasn't the thing. It was the I'm a man factor. For those of you who have been serious riders, you've probably heard of the Iron Butt. That is a decades-old certified ride of 1,000 miles in 24 hours. You have to either do it on an organized run, which we did, or you have to get people along the way who are willing to put their signature on a check sheet that shows the mileage on your bike and the location where you are, so that the organization can confirm that you actually did complete 1,000 miles in 24 hours. Now, a group of about a half a dozen of us from the Christian Motorcyclists Association that I was riding with at the time decided this would be a fun thing to do. And there was an organization that was putting on a pre-planned route, Iron Butt, that went from Phoenix down to Tucson, over to San Diego, north to LA, back across the Mojave in the middle of the night, which is thankfully the right time to do it, and back to Phoenix. And I did that on that little Buell. The guys that rode with me called that bike the Thong because it looked like it was wedged somewhere. It was a tiny little machine. Everybody else was on big, comfy bikes. I was actually the limiting factor on that ride because with the shortest range of only about 150 miles or so, I had to pre-plan all of our gas stops so that I wouldn't run out of gas. Unbeknownst to me, after the fact, I found out that one of the guys on a Goldwing had actually carried along in one of his saddlebags an extra couple of gallon container of gas just in case I planned things wrong. Nice guy, but he didn't injure my pride by telling me that until after the fact. That was a fun ride, though. I tell you, it is grueling. By the time you get back, you're exhausted. We finished it with about an hour to spare. So why did I quit riding? Well, my dad was actually a motorcyclist too. I've been on motorcycles of some form since I was 3 or 4 years old. My first injury of any kind, in fact, happened when I was only a couple of years old. Dad came home from work. I ran out to meet him, and I climbed up on his bike and put a knee down on one of his still scalding hot pipes. And I've got the scar on my knee still to show it. Mom wasn't too happy. That almost ended Dad's motorcycling career. But I've been on bikes off and on since I was little. But a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to purchase one of my dream vehicles, one that I had wanted ever since college, and that was a Mazda Miata. So I got a 2014 hardtop convertible, and I haven't ridden the motorcycles much since then. My wife and I have just discovered that when we want to go out on a weekend, the Miata is a great choice, because if it happens to rain, which it does here in North Carolina all the time, that's why we have such a beautiful green state. But if it happens to rain, we don't have to change vehicles. We just have to put the top up and soldier on until the rain stops. And then we can drop it back down again. So it wasn't really a decision to stop riding. I just sort of lost interest after I got the Miata. It's just been that much fun. I can tell you that I do appreciate, if any of you guys follow the old Prestonian, he's been doing a few motorcycle ride videos. I really like those. That takes me back, and seeing Europe from his vantage point, really fun ride. So if you haven't subscribed to him, you ought to give him a look. I'll put his link as well as Uncle Phil's down below. Struggling to keep this lit, so I'll let you guys go while I try to chase this ember. Y'all have a good day. We'll talk to you later.